Good morning, everyone. And today is Wednesday, March 22nd. And we want to welcome you to today's webinar, Making the Most of the Ohio Business Matchmaker. My name is Shonda Harris. I'm a business opportunity specialist with the Columbus SBA. And we are really excited about welcoming you to, we're kicking off the matchmaker season. We're always excited about doing this. So we have so many wonderful partners that you will be hearing about today. So typically when we start off our matchmaker season, we always want to give an opportunity for you as small businesses. We don't take for granted that some of you may be new to joining us in this, our signature contracting event, and some of you may be seasoned pros. So we definitely want to welcome everyone today. So before we get started and kick things off, we'll just go over a couple housekeeping things, and then we'll go ahead and kick it over to our presenters. So if you, while the presenters are speaking, if you have a question, you can go ahead and type it into, I do believe there's a Q&A section down below, and also the chat. So if you want to utilize one of those, we will be monitoring those. So if you go ahead and put your question in there. Also to let you know, today's session is being recorded, and the recording will be available and the slides will be available to you afterward in two locations, on the Matchmaker website and the Apex Accelerators website. So with that, again, today's webinar is making the most of the matchmaker, and just an opportunity for you to get some information and tools to help you navigate and find out what the Ohio Business Matchmaker is. So if you're a small business looking to do business with the government, city, state, or even at the local level, this is the right event for you. And so to kick off, giving an introduction about the matchmaker and what this event is about, we have Jim Lapley, who serves in a dual capacity as the Deputy Chief of Office of Small Business Development, as well as the SVDC Statewide Director. He will open up and give us a little overview about the matchmaker and how you can navigate and make the most of it. And then following Jim will be Joey Scott, who is the statewide manager for the Ohio Apex Accelerators. So again, if you have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat or the Q&A session, and we will monitor those. So without further ado, Jim, you can go ahead and get us started.
Good morning, Shonda. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. And to those joining us live in person this morning, thanks for taking time out of your morning to join us. And additionally, if those of you who are tuning in after the fact, viewing the recording on the Matchmaker website, thank you for checking out this event. I hope this can be really informative, and hope to see you in person at this year's Ohio Business Matchmaker. So Shonda mentioned, I'm Jim Lapley. I'm the State Director of the Ohio Small Business Development Centers. I run a statewide program designed to help small businesses in the state of Ohio grow, expand, and even grow internationally. We are partners in this event, the Ohio Business Matchmaker. The Ohio Department of Development is our state's primary lead economic development agency. So we are empowered with helping small businesses grow and succeed in our state. And we really feel that this event is a very unique opportunity to work with small businesses just on that to help you grow. So today's webinar, we're going to go over kind of our learning objectives. So first, we're going to really just make sure you understand what the business matchmaker is, determine if it's right for you and your small business, briefly talk about the registration, and we'll talk about how to prepare for the actual event. So really getting down to brass tacks. After that, Joey Scott, who is our Apex Accelerator Director, is going to go a little more into the details on really making sure that your business is prepped and ready for the actual day of the matchmaker, and talk about some of the resources and tools at your disposal to help you get ready for that. So we're going to dive right in and just really talk about what is the matchmaker. So the matchmaker is a two-day event. It takes place it's taken place every year for the past 16 years. So this event's been going on quite a while. We were able to keep the matchmaker going through technology during the pandemic. So we shifted to virtual for a couple of years in a row, but we are glad to be back in person for the second year in a row this year. So the mission of the Matchmaker is really to connect small businesses to government contracting opportunities. Essentially, we fill a basketball arena with government buyers and give small businesses the opportunity to connect, to meet with them one-on-one in individualized meetings with these buying agencies. And it's really a unique opportunity that you don't get with a lot of other types of industry events in the government contracting space. The mission of this event is really to help remove some of those barriers. Typically, contracting officers at the federal and state level are very difficult to get in front of, especially with Department of Defense. These are folks who are typically behind large fences on military bases. These folks are also getting sales calls and emails from, every angle and every communication device they have at their disposal. So it can be really tough to break through. It can be tough to introduce your business to these buying agencies, and it can be really tough to stand out. And so the Matchmaker is really about eliminating those barriers, giving you that opportunity to meet one-on-one with someone who is making decisions on, in many cases, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of government purchases in a year. We also want this event to be approachable. A lot of attendees are new to government contracting, or this might be their first time actually participating in a government contracting event. So our buyers are aware of that. They are eager to meet with new small businesses. They're eager to expand their supply chain, and they also approach this event with an understanding. And our folks are very approachable when attending this event as well. Additionally, this event's about networking. So, small businesses meeting other small businesses, finding potential partners, finding potential organizations to team with in pursuing larger government contracts. Is a great opportunity at this event. There will be hundreds of other like-minded small businesses interested in the federal government, federal, state, and local government contracting space. And we've seen a general trend towards larger contracts that tend to be more difficult for small businesses to be a part of. Teaming and finding other small businesses to partner with on contracts is kind of a great equalizer. So it's not just about selling to government buyers, but it's also about making those industry connections with like-minded small businesses. So as I mentioned, this program's been around for 15 years. Every year we are able to facilitate several thousand one-on-one individualized meetings between government buyers and small businesses, and that's what really makes this an important event. So some events taking place May 3rd and 4th of this year. It will be in person at the Nutter Center at Wright State University in Dayton, Ohio. Again, the Nutter Center is their basketball arena. This event takes a lot of floor space, and they're able to provide it to us. Additionally, it's held in Dayton because the Nutter Center is right outside the gates of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. We're very lucky in the state of Ohio to have Wright-Patterson as one of the single largest single-site employers in our state, but also behind the gates of Wright-Patterson University, or Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, rather, you have government purchasers that are in charge of hundreds of millions of dollars of government contracts. So there's a strong volume of government buyers there, and it's easier to get them off the base and meeting with our small businesses when we can take that event close to them. This event, again, as I mentioned, May 3rd and 4th, it's going to be a half-day event in the afternoon on May 3rd and a full day on the 4th. We'll get a little more into the agenda later. And this event is brought to you by a number of partners. So the Ohio Department of Development is at the table with the Small Business Administration's Columbus District Office. We leverage a number of our programs and partners, including the Apex Accelerators, which you'll learn more about them here shortly, our state's Small Business Development Center network, as well as the state's Minority Business Assistance Centers. They all come together to collaborate on this premier event. And we'll get moving, as to who should actually attend this event. So we have kind of three target audiences for this. Small businesses. So if you are a small business actively involved in the government contracting space, or if you want to get involved in the federal, state, or local government contracting space, this is a great event for you. As I mentioned, we try to make this event approachable. We also try to keep this event incredibly affordable. If you look at some of the federal government industry days, you could be spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to attend one of those events. And usually they are targeting either one federal agency or a small cluster of federal agencies. Our event's different. We're trying to bring together as many federal, state, and local government buyers as possible under one roof. And if you're not ready for the big leagues and federal government contracting, it's an opportunity to reach out to local governments here in the state of Ohio, where you can start to really get your feet wet in the government contracting space and build that performance that you may need to grow your business into state and federal government contracts. So again, any small business that is established, that is ready to take the plunge into government contracting, or is an existing government contractor, you're certainly the type of target we want to see at this event. Additionally, government buyers. So we target this event to government buyers at the federal, state, and local government level. We also do a lot of marketing to attract a lot of folks at specific government set-aside categories. So whether it's women-owned small businesses, veteran-owned small businesses, Hub Zone, 8A, women-owned small businesses, we try to get a strong concentration for some of these vendors, as they're typically more difficult for the federal government to find and connect with. And there are certainly a large number of set-aside opportunities for these businesses. But again, it's open to any small business as well. And then ultimately, we try to get major prime contractors. So, large prime contractors, large Department of Defense contractors, folks like Lockheed Martin, they are actually required to set aside a portion of their contracts for subcontracts with small businesses. Encourage them to attend, to participate, and meet with small businesses as well. So that's who should attend: small businesses, government buyers at every level, as well as our large prime contractors. To give you a little more sense of who actually is attending, so on the buyer side, when I say buyer, I mean those government purchasers. We've got a lot of representation from townships, cities, counties, and quasi-government entities as well. So we've had great partners with John Glenn International Airport has been there with their supplier diversity folks. We've had a lot of regional transit authorities present as well, community colleges, and county governments, city governments, and even township governments. A lot of these folks are looking for services. A lot of them may be looking for specialized equipment to support their local community infrastructure. And then there's a unique interest this year, especially with folks involved in the contracting space. At the federal government level, there has been a tremendous amount of stimulus dollars being deployed to our local communities. For the first time in very long time, the federal government has also attached set-aside goals. So there are local governments looking for diversified suppliers who are women-owned, minority-owned, that are small businesses, and there's some strings attached to that. And so now more than ever, local governments are very interested in meeting with small businesses who can potentially meet their needs in their local communities. From the state government side, we've had phenomenal representation from our state agencies across the state. Our agency, the Ohio Department of Development, is there, but nearly every state agency is there. So everyone from Department of Transportation, our state universities, the Ohio National Guard is there as well. And then our largest purchasers, which include Department of Administrative Services and Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, are there as well. And your state agencies are looking for a little bit of everything. Typically, it tends to be more service and construction related, but there's certainly a lot of IT needs. And then, when you get down to the individual agency level, you can get pretty granular with some of their needs. So state government encompasses a whole broad swath of purchasing opportunities, and state government will be there in force at the Matchmaker this year. And then on the federal side, we've been very lucky to get a really good mix of federal agencies and strong support from the federal agencies. You will see an immense amount of representation from the Air Force. So the Air Force Material Command is right there on base. They literally do all of the purchasing for all of the base infrastructure across the country. Additionally, we've got the Defense Logistics Agency in Columbus. They are in charge of essentially everything that is out there to support the warfighter. So everything from clothing and uniforms all the way to fasteners and specialized parts and machining for different weapon systems and transportation. So very broad swath is represented at the federal level. Additionally, there are a lot of agencies representing local installations that may have local needs, such as janitorial services or local support. And then we've got other agencies that do a lot of research-related work. So specialized equipment, specialized contracting for services, and then construction opportunities as well. So we really check all the boxes. I don't think I've ever met anyone who has attended the Matchmaker where they didn't find an agency that had a need for something they were presenting. But certainly we'll talk more about that and some of the vetting that you can do and market research that we can help you with before that event. And then finally, we have our large prime contractors. We typically have fewer of our large prime contractors attend this event. They're pretty tough to get in front of, but this represents some of our past participants. We've had very good presentation from Battelle. Historically, we typically get a few aerospace companies every year at the event as well. So it certainly a great opportunity. And as more of these folks register, you'll be able to check back at the Ohio Business Matchmaker to see who is actually signed up to be a buyer at this event. So we've covered a little bit of what the event is, who's attending, and now we're going to shift a little bit to talk about the event and the event format. So the Matchmaker is a little different than your standard trade show. In fact, we would call it a reverse trade fair in that small businesses are the ones who are up and wandering about this event. We fill the basketball arena with tables, and at each table is an assigned government buyer. So that could, again, be a local government, a city, a township. It could be one of our federal agency purchasers. But those established government buyers and prime contractors are the ones who are going to be sitting at the tables. And then it will be the opportunity for small businesses to sit down with them one-on-one for meetings, usually about 12 minutes at a time, to really pitch your services, to talk about what your business can do, but also to talk with those contracting officers about their needs, about upcoming opportunities that could be coming out, and to really build that relationship, because that's really the foundation of every business relationship, even with government contracting, is that personal relationship. So it's an opportunity to really socialize your business, to get in front of one of these decision makers, but also to pick their brain on where there could be potential opportunity and potential end users for your product within their organization. So again, it's a reverse trade fair format. It's a little different than a lot of events folks are used to, but it has served our event very well. A brief rundown of the schedule. So as I mentioned, it's a 2-day event. So on Wednesday, May 3rd, there will be a half day of trainings and a networking reception. And then on Thursday, May 4th, there will be an opening ceremony kicking off usually between 8 and 8:30. And then we will have a full day of matchmaking going from 9 until 3:30 in the afternoon. And I mentioned, we are able to facilitate more than 2,000 meetings at this event. So it's a lot of activity, but it's also a lot of fun to be with at the event. So, we keep saying the word matchmaking. Those of you who may not have been to an event like this before, may not understand what that means. And we add some additional nuance to that as well. So at the event, during the matchmaking sessions, we actually have the morning and afternoon matchmaking broken up into 2 different sessions. Matchmaking really just means meeting one-on-one with a government buyer. So you as a business being able to sit down with another person right across from you and having that conversation and delivering your pitch. We've broken each one of the matchmaking sessions up into both scheduled and unscheduled matchmaking. So scheduled matchmaking is basically before the event, you will have the opportunity to schedule those meetings one-on-one. So you'll have a time slot to sit down with that government agency. But then we also have open sessions. So you may not have been able to meet with a specific government buyer during a specific time. So during the unscheduled matchmaking sessions, it's all first come, first serve. Anyone can meet with anyone at the event. And it's kind of the great equalizer. So if you're unable to specifically get in front of a specific agency, you're still going to have that opportunity, even if you weren't able to pre-schedule that meeting. Just moving into the registration process. So it's kind of a 3-stage process. And we want to make sure folks understand the registration, because it's really important. And it's really important to build your business profile and to actually do those matches. So we'll kind of go into that. I won't go into immense detail as we give lots of information via email to folks who sign up. But I did want to make sure folks understood how it worked, so those who might be new to the event don't miss out on opportunities to schedule matches. So to purchase a registration, you can go to ohiobusinessmatchmaker.com. Registration is live effectively right now, so you can go to the website. We have early bird registration right now, so tickets to the event are $95 during the early bird period. They will go up to $135 here in a couple weeks, so we encourage you to register early. For government agencies, there is no cost. So for folks who work in the federal government, state, or local governments as contracting professionals, there is no cost for you to attend. And for our exhibitors, the cost is $350. So for small businesses, again, $95 gets you in the door. It gets you the ability to register at the event, to create an online profile, to pre-schedule meetings with government buyers, and to attend those open, unscheduled matchmaking sessions. So again, get you full access to the event. We also cover your lunch, all under that price. And then you'll also be able to meet with other resource partners that are there. We'll have small business resources like small business development centers, advisors with the Apex Accelerator program who really focus on helping folks win government contracts. We'll have bankers as well as other small business support organizations you can meet with. So again, $95 gets you in the door and able to access the entire event. For our government contractors, we ask that you register in advance, and we will again get you registered. It's actually a streamlined process for government buyers. We want it to be as easy as possible, and that will establish that your agency gets a table, and we'll work with you on creating a profile of the type of customers you're looking with to help you match with them, and you'll have access to the full event, including lunch as well. And then for exhibitors, it's a little bit different. So exhibitors kind of come in 2 types. One, exhibitors are folks who are really focused in the government contracting space, but want to have a space where they can actually display their wares. So, they might want to bring some examples of a product that they're selling. And that's a place where you could basically set up shop. You could bring buyers over to your table to really show them visually, what you can offer as a business. But exhibitors are also folks who may be interested in selling to the small businesses that are at the event as well. So we've got a great mix of folks exhibiting every year. For our exhibitors, $350 gets you 2 tickets to the event. It gets you a 6-foot table on the main floor of the arena. And you can still access business matchmaking, so you can pre-schedule events and also participate in those open matchmaking sessions as well. So that kind of covers the registration types. And now to talk about the process. So if you are purchasing as a small business or an exhibitor, you will register. It'll take you to an Eventbrite page where you'll pay. After you have submitted payment, you'll get additional follow-up instructions from us. Those are going to send you to our matchmaking portal, and that is where you're going to create a company profile. You'll enter your information, your contact information. Something you'll want to have available are your NAICS codes. That's the North American Industry Classification System codes that represent what your business does. If that doesn't mean anything to you, or if you don't know what a NAICS code is, don't worry. We can totally talk you through the process. It's just a simple way of standardizing what businesses do. And we've got resources that can help you determine that as well. So you'll be able to create a business profile. You'll be able to upload a capability statement. If you don't know what a capability statement is, don't worry. We're going to go over that in a little bit as well. But really, it's going to create an online place for you to represent what your business does, to give a business description, to have additional materials that government buyers can review and access. And that's also going to be the basis for how you are given recommendations to match with government buyers. So again, step one is purchasing. Step two is going to be creating your profile in our matchmaking system. It does not take long. It's pretty efficient. So it really shouldn't be a barrier. And you can go back in the system at any time and revise information as you get closer to the event. The third step is going to be your matching and scheduling. So this part does not take place until usually about a week or so out from the event. And that is so that we can have as many of the potential attendees registered, as well as many of the buying agencies already registered and uploaded into the system. So once we open the matchmaking portion, you are going to be given a list of the federal agencies that you've already been matched to. So these were federal agencies that said they were looking for vendors under specific NAICS codes or had specific needs. And that is going to then give you the opportunity to select those buyers and actually set up pre-scheduled meetings with them the day of the event. So it's pretty straightforward. We've got great customer service for you. If you have any questions or concerns about that, but you will get that direct list of folks that you've been matched to. Now, it may be that you have a product that may not have been matched directly to a potential buyer, and you may have done your market research, you may have done your homework, and you may know that you've got a great value proposition for a specific agency. So if you're not being matched to a specific agency, that is not a concern. You can still schedule a meeting with them. However, the system is set up to show you the folks who specifically said they're interested in NAICS codes you're selling, but that is in no way saying that you cannot still meet with those buyers. You can still schedule meetings with them. Additionally, if a really in-demand buyer is filled up, if their schedule is full, you will still have those open matchmaking sessions to be able to stand in line, first come, first served basis, and still have the opportunity to potentially meet with them as well. So, there's some redundancy built in here. This is all about trying to give you opportunity to sit with buyers that you think you have a great opportunity of doing business with. And that is really how we've structured this event as well. So moving on to the day of the matchmaker, couple things just to keep in mind. So the day of the matchmaker, common questions were asked, how should I dress? So we encourage folks to dress business casual or business. We do encourage you to wear comfortable shoes. It is a large arena with a pretty hard concrete floor. So if you are a small business going from table to table meeting with buyers, you are going to be walking around a lot. For our government purchasers, that's less important for you. You get to sit down at the same table all day, but we certainly encourage folks to be comfortable. We encourage folks to bring their capability statements. Again, If you don't know what that is, don't worry. There's going to be plenty of opportunities and trainings as we get closer to the matchmaker to develop your capability statement. But in a nutshell, it's just essentially your business's resume. And in the government contracting space, they tend to follow some specific criteria as well. You will also want to bring business cards. If you ask how many, I would say bring more than you think you need. As I mentioned, this event isn't only about meeting government buyers, it's also about meeting like-minded small businesses. And we've had great success at this event with small businesses finding other folks they can ultimately partner with and bid on larger government contracts with. The great thing about this event is it's really a community of folks who are here to support each other. So folks are giving business tips and tricks, and you might be able to meet a current successful government contractor that might have some good advice or thoughts on you and your direction for your business. So definitely bring a lot of business cards, and ultimately just bring an open mind. This event can be intimidating if you're new to government contracting, or it can be intimidating if you're new to a government to business procurement type trade show. But don't be afraid to ask. Everyone who comes to this event understands what it is. We understand that this is a lot of businesses trying to get their foot in the door. We've got a lot of staff who will be clearly visible. So all the staff working the event will have a pretty well lit up name badge that you can see from across the arena, and we are here to help you. We want you to be successful. That is what this event is based around. So we don't want you to be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask questions of either government purchasers or any of the staff at the event as well. And then I won't get into a lot of this because I think Joey's going to cover a lot more of this, but really the Matchmaker is an event that you will get as much out of as you put into it. So we can't encourage you enough to be prepared. Do your homework. We've got great resources and opportunities to help you. But it certainly goes to show, we take great pride in this event, and it's exciting when we get to meet with folks that we saw last year that are coming back and can tell us about how a meeting led to an introduction that led to them successfully competing for and winning and performing under a contract. And we've got a lot of success every year at this event. And those folks that we typically see are the ones who came to this event prepared. They were polished. They had a great pitch. They had great examples of past performance that they had done to ease any concerns a government buyer might have had. And they really did their homework and were able to focus in on agencies and target their pitch to those agencies they knew they had potential to work with. So a couple other resources to help you get ready. If you're on this webinar, then you already know we have quite a few pre-event webinars kind of tailored to specific parts of the event. So I really encourage you to look at our list of webinars going up to the event. They're pretty substantial, and they cover everything from the basics, so how to market yourself, all the way to specific agencies, their needs, how to do business with them. So really encourage you to check out the pre-event webinars. We keep them pretty short and direct, and there's a lot of valuable information there at your disposal. Additionally, wanted to bring up our Apex Accelerator program. This program used to be known as the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. They recently, within the past month, essentially went through a rebrand. It's called the Apex Accelerators. This is a program supported by the Ohio Department of Development and the Ohio Department of Defense, and there is a team of folks that exist in Ohio, and their sole purpose is to help Ohio companies win government contracts at the federal, state, and local government level. So you've got a whole team of experts with probably centuries of knowledge in the government contracting space if we added it all up. At your disposal. They do a lot of our trainings leading up to the Matchmaker. They will have advisors available at the event, and they provide no cost one-on-one advising to anyone wanting to get involved in the government contracting space. And they're available between now and the matchmaker at offices across the state to help you to get ready for this event. Additionally, some other resource partners. So I manage the state's small business development centers. SBDCs provide no-cost one-on-one business advising and support to any small business in the state. And the one thing we don't do is really get in the weeds on government contracting. That's what we've got our Apex accelerators for. But our SBDCs are here for everything else. So if you're looking for financing, if you're looking for help marketing, SBDCs are here at no cost to support you. Similarly, we have our minority business assistance centers. This is another statewide program where there are experts across the state that really focus on supporting minority businesses, especially those in some of those federal set-aside categories. And their sweet spot is really helping minority businesses gain a foothold in state government contracting. So if you are looking for state certifications, MBE, EDGE, or the state's new women's business certification, they've got a lot of resources that can help you as well. So that pretty much covers our matchmaker overview. I know we covered a lot of information, and I know this event can be a little intimidating if you haven't attended. But I really encourage you to give this event a shot. We've had a lot of new folks come in the door, and those tend to be the folks that we see year after year. And just know that you're supported. So this event is really developed with you in mind, and you've got a lot of resources at your disposal to get ready for this event. So with that, I will happily take any questions. And we will, and if not, we will kick it over to Joey. All right.
Yeah, I don't see any questions. Yeah, I don't see any questions in the chat.
See any questions? Apparently did a good enough job to cover everything.
Did.
But on the last slide, you know, matchmakerdevelopment.ohio.gov is a web address. You can get to that from the website as well. We've got a number of folks who are answering any inquiry or question you might have that comes across there. So again, check out the website, again, ohiobusinessmatchmaker.com, and we'll have tons of resources as well as access to the recordings to the registrations for the webinars, as well as recordings of all the webinars as well. So again, thank you for participating. Thank you for your interest in this event. And I'm going to hand it over to Joey to go a little more in depth in getting ready for this event.
Thank you, Jim. And as I get set up here, just as Jim and Shonda said, my name is Joey Scott. I am the statewide director for our Ohio Apex Accelerator programs. As Jim mentioned, we just recently went through a name change, so you may know us better as the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, or PTACs. And so this name change is a result of the shift in our leadership at the Department of Defense level. But you're not here to learn about that. You are here to learn about how you can best prepare for the Ohio Business Matchmaker. And so that is what I'm going to focus on here, is how to prepare for it, but also how to conduct yourself and make the most of it while you're at the matchmaker, and then how to leverage a great matchmaker event to follow up afterwards and continue those conversations and hopefully successes. So Jim expertly provided a great overview of what the matchmaker is. And the main thing I want to point out here is make sure that you do check out the website. And that'll be important as we talk about preparing for the matchmaker. So how do you prepare for the matchmaker? One of the first things you do is do your research. All right, and where's the best place to start? Well, see what buyers are going to be at the matchmaker. So as we get closer to the matchmaker itself, you'll see that the buyers page on the matchmaker website will be updated as frequently as we can to show what federal, state, local, and even prime contractors are set up as a buyer and plan to attend. And this works to serve two main goals. One, it helps you to identify your matches within the portal, as Jim mentioned, but two, it can help you identify what opportunities and kind of lead your research leading up to the event. So when I say research, what do you want to look at? You want to look at what are they buying and how are they buying it? And so if you see that the Department of Air Force, and their various commands are going to be at the matchmaker, you might want to look to see, okay, do I want to sell to Air Force Materiel Command? And do I have a product or service that they're buying? And so we have great tools available to us at the Ohio Apex Accelerators that can help provide you some of that research, but there's also ways that you can do that yourself. One of the best ways at the federal level, look at sam.gov, see what open opportunities are out there. And then there's also a historical viewpoint from the Federal Procurement Data System, or FPDS, that is being integrated into sam.gov. And then there's also usaspending.gov. So those are all great federal research tools that help you identify current and past opportunities. But you want to know what future opportunities. You may want to go into the meeting thinking about what might you want to buy from us in the future. And so we would encourage you to look at an agency procurement forecast. Every federal agency has to provide a forecast, generally on their Office of Small Business website. And so this forecast highlights some of the anticipated spend. Every agency is going to buy things as they need it. Not all of it makes it to the forecast, especially if it's confidential or of great importance to national security. But you can get a ballpark idea for what an agency is going to buy, especially if it's a repetitive purchase year after year. So forecasts are a great tool to anticipate what agencies are going to buy. And then on the more linear side as well, if you're looking at a specific agency, they may have their own portal. So if you're a parts manufacturer and you want to sell to the DoD for, say, tank heads or something like that, you want to look at the DLA Internet Bid Board System, DIBS, as they list their opportunities in there as well. And some other components have specific websites like the Army and Navy, where they list other opportunities that you might not see on sam.gov. So I just spent a lot of time talking about federal agencies and how you might research them, but also that logic applies to state and local agencies as well. So, state of Ohio, we have Ohio Buys. It's our e-procurement system. You can see all the opportunities on there. And then there's also something called Ohio Checkbook, which shows all the spending. And there's a few other resources, again, at our Ohio Apex Accelerator disposal that can kind of compile some of this data from all these different websites and provide it in a nice, neat report that you can use to guide your research. So again, why do you want to do your research? So that when you go into your matchmaker meetings, that you are prepared. You know what the agency is buying, and you know that what they're buying lines up with what you are selling. One of the worst things that you can do is go into a meeting and say, tell me what you buy, we'll provide it. That is a big red flag for the buyers at these events, because their initial thought is, well, the person that I'm talking to, the business, they didn't do any research. They're not knowledgeable. They're just trying to sell us anything. And then their conversation is going to kind of flow in a way that directs you on how to do some research. And so then your meeting is not as productive as it could be had you done that research beforehand. Other areas that you want to look at to conduct your research and be knowledgeable about the buyers that you're meeting with, just look at their websites. Review the agency mission and vision. Does what you do line up with their values? And again, the opportunities that they're buying. And most of all, review their agency matchmaker profile. So as Jim said, when you get registered for the matchmaker, you'll get instructions on setting up your profile. Well, buyers set up their profile as well. And so the system does, a lot of fun little internal things to try to match you up based on those profiles. But it's always good practice for you to go in manually and review, see what is on their profile. Do they have NAICS codes listed? Do they have a narrative explaining a few other areas of interest? So make sure that you pay attention to their matchmaker profile as well. Then finally, look at open opportunities. Look for sources sought notices or requests for information. These two types of notices are where the government is doing their market research. They are asking businesses to respond with their interest in these opportunities. It's not an opportunity yet. It's not a bid or anything, but it's a precursor to it, or it can be. And so if you go into a meeting at the matchmaker and say, hey, I saw this sources sought or request for information notice, we'd be very interested in this, and you explain your capabilities. Again, that covers a couple areas. One, it shows that you've done your research, but two, that you're sincere about chasing some of these opportunities. So once you've done some of your research, that's not the only thing that you need to do to prepare, though. You also need to develop a few other marketing tactics. So we'll talk about capability statement, which Jim has alluded to, is your one-page resume of the company. We'll also talk about how to make your business cards effective for a matchmaker event like this. And we'll talk about a few other networking events and how to utilize emails and developing a contact list. So your capability statement, as I said, is one-page resume of your company. Just like how you or I would have a resume, your company needs to have a resume. And so capability statement, it's a generally accepted document or device even from all levels of government that say, if a company sends in a capability statement, we expect to see very briefly what the company can do. All right. And so there's 5 key areas on a capability statement: core competencies, past performance, differentiators, corporate data, and then contact information. All right. And so the first area I mentioned here is core competencies. And this is what your company does and what you do best. All right. So it's the products or services that you offer. All right. And you want to list the core competencies that you deliver with exceptional results. Every company has myriad of products or services that you provide. You don't need to list all of them. You want to list the ones that best stand out, that you can best deliver with the highest quality, whether it's a product or a service, but also that is most relevant to the agency or the opportunities that you're going after. For example, if you are a janitorial company, but you also have you're able to sell some cleaning supplies, but you're going after an agency that is just looking for a service, you don't necessarily need to include the products that you sell on the capability statement. Sure, it's great if you have room, but you want to make sure that your capability statement is tailored to the agencies, and we'll see that a bit more when I get down to past performance. But I'm going to skip past performance and talk next about differentiators. So if core competencies is what you do best, differentiators is what sets you apart from your competition. So differentiators can be things like industry certifications. If you have a quality certification, for example, manufacturers probably hear of ISO certifications. If you're in the aerospace industry, there's an aerospace quality certification. So if you have those, you definitely want to highlight them because not every company has them. Also, if you have other unique equipment, technology, or other capabilities, you want to include that as well. So again, differentiators can be subjective, but the thing to keep in mind with differentiators is it's what sets you apart from your competition. What makes you special? What do you have that is hard for other companies to get? All right. And corporate data, these are kind of a catch-all, but it's where you would list a lot of your codes. All right. So are you registered in the system for award management? If so, you want to list your CAGE code and your unique entity identifier. And so to the government looking at your capability statement, they at a glance see, oh, you're already registered in SAM. All right. Similarly, if you have a small business certification, you want to list your woman-owned small business or better small business, any federal certifications, and any state and local certifications too. If you are a minority business enterprise, MBE, EDGE, etc. All right. And if you do have any contract vehicles, say you're on a GSA schedule or some other contract vehicle, you want to list that as well. And then finally, you want to mention your contact information. You want to have one point of contact. All right. You want to make sure that it is a direct point of contact. If you only have at your disposal a general phone number or a general email, make sure someone is checking them regularly, because the worst thing that can happen is you include a general contact information on a capability statement, and then you miss a call or you miss an email from a government buyer who's interested in doing business with you. So make sure that you list one person that it'll go to, or that someone is checking it. So I said I'd leave past performance for last. And the reason for this is past performance may be one of the most important aspects of a capability statement. All right. And so past performance is, as it sounds, it is previous work that you've done. And so thinking back to the connection between a capability statement and a resume, as you list references on a resume, your past performance is your company's references. And so you want to list past jobs or past customers that you've done great work for. All right. So if you're new to government contracting, it is acceptable and it is expected that you will list commercial success. All right. And as you start to get government work, you start to replace that commercial success with government contracts. All right. And a lot of businesses, in my experience that I've encountered, is they are already doing government work and they don't even realize it. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you've done work with a local city, or your nearby state university, those are government contracts. And people don't always realize that. All right. So even if it's in your backyard, it is still a government contract. So you want to list those. And most importantly, you want to list relevant past performance. So again, if you are, we'll use the janitorial company as an example. If you're going to meet with the Air Force and your janitorial company, and they're looking for janitorial services, you want to list janitorial service past performance. You would not want to list selling fresh fruit. It's just a random example out of my head, but hopefully that draws the connection here. You want to make sure that the experience is relevant to not only the agency, but also the types of opportunities that you're going after. So that is a very brief overview of a capability statement. And as you see on the slide here, there's a nice little example of a capability statement. One thing I would mention with this is, as you see this layout, the layout and the aesthetics of capability statement are not the most important part. The content is the most important part. The layout, the aesthetics, that serves to make sure that you stand out as professional capability statement. But that's as far as it needs to go. Now, if you have like neon yellow paper and all these, that's not going to look professional. You want it to look professional, but however you lay it out, you want it to reflect the tone of your company as well. And so the content is the most important part of the capability statement. So spend a little time on capability statement. Next, we're going to talk about business cards. As Jim mentioned, you want to bring more than you think you'll need, but you also want to make sure that your business card is as effective as it can be. And what do I mean by that? Well, everyone has a business card, and a lot of times you have a business card that on one side, you have your contact information, you have the company name, etc. And oftentimes on the other side, it's blank, or it just has a logo or a picture, which is fine. But what we would recommend is develop a business card that serves as a miniature capability statement. So you still have your contact info, on the one side with your company name, your name, email, phone, etc. But then on the flip side, instead of leaving it blank or just putting your company logo on it, put your cage code, your UEI. If you're registered in the System for Award Management, put those things. List a few of your top NAICS codes. North American Industry Classification System, those are your industry codes. And if you don't know what your industry code is, you definitely want to determine that before you go into the matchmaker, because that will be part of your registration. And we can assist you with that as well. But so on that, what normally would be a blank side of the business card, put the cage code, put your NAICS codes, put even your small business certifications. All right, and just keep it clean and brief. But then as you hand out your business cards, people can see, oh, you're already registered with the federal government. We can do business with you fairly quickly if we wanted to. Or, oh, if you're giving it to another business, you can see, oh, hey, you have a GSA schedule. We've been really interested in that. Is there any way we could team together? So this could open up a lot of other opportunities for you just by making the business card a little more effective. Then thirdly here, email. Everyone knows email. Everyone knows how important it is and how many emails everyone gets every single day. A lot of times it ends up in spam or the trash folder. So if you are using email, which I encourage you to do, to follow up after the matchmaker, make sure that you follow a few simple guidelines. If you're reaching out to a government buyer, make sure it's a brief introductory email. You don't want to send 3-4 paragraphs talking about your company history and everything else. You want to make sure it's a brief, to the point email. Introduce who you are, introduce your company, focus on the capabilities. You'd also want to attach your capability statement as a PDF. Why is a PDF? It's been generally understood that PDFs they kind of get the green light when going through the government spam filters. Word document, some other things may not go through as easily, but a PDF, it's clean, it's easily checked for viruses and other things. So you use your capability statement as PDF. You also want to make sure that you have no mass emails. All right. Don't just say, "Dear contracting officer," and send it out to 100 different people. Tailor your emails. Address them to a specific person. Yes, that takes more time, but it brings your correspondence onto a personal level. And half of government contracting is relationships. So you want to develop a good relationship, especially if you've had a great conversation at the matchmaker. You want to make sure that you address that person specifically. Don't just send out a mass email to everyone that you met at the matchmaker. All right. And then use your research as well. Again, keep the email brief, but tailor it. If there's a specific opportunity or that they're looking for your type of product or service down the road, try to tailor that within your email. All right. So matchmaker, and this will be the last bit before we dive into how to conduct yourself during the matchmaker. But one of the last few things here is other networking events, whether it's a matchmaker, industry day, etc. Leave the bulky folders at home. Travel light. You want to bring your capability statement. You want to bring your business cards. I saw one time at a matchmaker, someone brought one of their products, and it was we'll call it a dry erase board, but it is very technologically savvy, and they were wheeling this thing around the matchmaking event, and unfortunately, it was very bulky. It was very distracting as well. And because of how big it was, they tended to miss a few of their meetings as well. So travel light, bring your capability statement, bring your business cards, and bring yourself. That's the 3 key things you need at a networking event like this. And then know your audience as well, which you should if you've done your research properly. And finally, just general advice for identifying agency contacts, whether it's at the matchmaker or outside. Look for people with the titles of small business specialists or contract officers or procurement center representatives. or even end users if you can reach them. Those are all the types of people that you want to introduce yourself to and talk to about opportunities. So that was a lot of research and prep to do beforehand. Now I want to spend some time about the do's and don'ts during the matchmaking. All right. So we'll talk about the do's first. In a matchmaker, if you've never been to something like this before, Jim mentioned it's kind of like a reverse trade show, but I'd also kind of liken it to business speed dating. Why? Because you're going to have limited time. You have about 10 to 15 minutes to sit down and make a great first impression with the buyer across from you. Whether it's federal, state, local buyer, or a prime contractor, doesn't matter. You will still only have the same amount of time and it will be limited. So you want to make sure that you make the most of it. How do you do that? You're prepared and you're confident. You understand, what your pitch is, what's your value proposition. You've done your research beforehand. You know some of the key points that you want to cover, but you also want to be understanding and considerate. They may have questions. You want them to have questions of you. And so this leads us into the don'ts. Don't monopolize the meeting. You want to have a dialogue. You want to have a conversation with the buyers across from you. You don't want to sit down and for 10 minutes talk nonstop, and then you're left with 2 or 3 minutes where the agency finally has time to ask questions. We'll talk about how to develop a key pitch as well that will help you with this as well. So you want to focus on value proposition and don't monopolize the meeting. Also, don't complain about the government to the government. All right, we all know government contracting is a very involved process. All right, there's a lot of statistics out there. I don't like to quote them, but I'll throw one out here. There's a statistic that says 9 out of 10 proposals lose. All right, and even that might be a little lax in the percentage. So I don't say that to scare anyone off of government contracting. I say that to drive home the point of the government buyers sitting across from you. They understand the government buying process has some hurdles. All right, they understand that. They're not there to debate or discuss the government buying process. They are there to learn about interested potential new vendors that they would want to do business with. So you want to put your best foot forward. All right. And also, don't discount the person across from you. What do I mean by that? Well, if you've never been to a matchmaking event, you will meet with various people. Some will be contract officers. Some will be small business professionals. Some may be a newer person to the agency. All right. And so you may meet with someone that you as a business may consider not the right person. Right. But that doesn't mean that it was a poor meeting. And we'll talk about how to leverage that as well. So first things first, perfecting your pitch. And I got these next 2 slides from our great counselor down in Cincinnati. And so 4 pillars of a great pitch: clarity, practice, simplicity, and passion. All right. Clarity in developing your pitch, you want to make sure it's clear. Adults' attention span is only 8 seconds. So you want to make sure that your pitch is clear and concise. If it takes you 5 minutes to talk about what your company does, and you're only covering the products or services that you offer, that's not great. Right? You want to make sure that you get it out in your first 30 seconds or so. You want to practice. Make sure that you are practiced and familiar with what you're going to say, and try to get feedback from people in your team. Whether it's from your own business, your own employees, or your mentors. It's always great to have business mentors and colleagues as well. But practice your pitch and have someone explain back to you, what did you say? And so the important part there is, if you go out and get that feedback and you thought, well, I said A, and the person telling you, giving you feedback says, no, I thought you said C, Well, you understand then that, there may not be, there may be some areas where you can improve upon in your pitch, whether it's clarity or simplicity. Cut out all the jargon. It's very easy for all of us to slip into acronyms. For me, especially government contracting, there's an acronym for just about anything. And so you want to make sure, though, that you focus on being understood. You don't want to show off how intelligent or how technically advanced you are. Cut out the jargon. Just focus on being understood. All right. And then finally, passion. Passion ensures that your pitch is memorable. Everyone's passionate about their own business. You want to make sure that shines through. Don't go overboard, but you want to make sure that people understand you care about your business and the opportunities that you're going after. If you sit down and you're all monotone, that might not look as good. Now, that said, we all get nervous. Public speaking or these events, there's a lot of high energy, a lot of excitement. It's okay to be nervous, or it's going to be a loud room. You may have a hard time hearing the person across from you. It's okay to ask them to repeat themselves too, but you want to make sure that your passion shines through as well. So 6 steps to developing an elevator pitch. Develop a hook, identify a problem, provide a unique solution, talk about your team, and then try to develop some traction and then close. So the hook, that's going to get their attention. That's, right off the bat. You lead with your value proposition of your company. A problem, what opportunities does the agency have? Your research will show, what their focus area is. And there may be some current open opportunities. And so that would be the problem in that regard. Unique solution, your products or services. All right, and the team, the people that you surround yourself with, your business, but also if you have any teaming partners, any subcontractors, or other businesses that you engage on a regular basis. And then traction. Traction is all about past performance. Mention, a few relevant and recent past performance, jobs that you've done, maybe even with that agency. Then that shows that you are doing that work, you're doing it successfully, and you understand the government contracting process. And again, if you're newer to government contracting and you don't have government past performance, that's fine too. Offer up some relevant, commercial successes. And that's not to say, you need to say exactly what, company and when and all that. Just, you may be bound by confidentiality to, you can't disclose your customers. That's fine. Just mention, hey, we've done this job in, X city or whatever on a commercial basis. And then close. You want to kind of close, ask for a business card or a follow-up meeting. Matchmaker, this is your first chance to meet with an agency. Try to get another meeting with them afterwards. Or at least get the contact info to follow up. So as you develop your elevator pitch, a couple of things to keep in mind. Identify your goal. What do you want to get from your pitch? Do you want to inform the agency of your existence? You want to discuss a specific opportunity? Don't try to close the deal. Don't try to walk out of the matchmaker with a signed contract, because that's not going to happen. So you want to, a lot of this will be guided by your research as well, in understanding your audience. What do they buy? How do they buy? And how do you want to convey what you do lines up with a lot of that. So try to learn about their pain points and tailor your pitch to fit their needs. A few other things here. Less is more. There's a natural tendency to talk about everything about your business, especially if you're very passionate about it. So that's where the practice comes in. All right. Slow down, lead with information that will prompt questions from the buyer. Again, you don't want to monopolize the meeting. You want them to engage you and ask questions. It'll feel more like a conversation. And focus on promoting your capabilities as well. Try to build a rapport, find common areas to build upon. Again, if there's an open opportunity, or there's a contract that's set to expire, talk about some of these things as well to gauge what opportunities. And then finally, practice. Don't memorize, let it flow naturally, but you want to, again, be practiced and have a confident presentation. So we talked about how to prepare beforehand, how to make the most during the event, but also the third part here is after. All right. And so kind of on the fringe here, before the meeting ends, try to find out people that you're meeting with, the buyers, do they prefer phone calls or emails? Because everyone has a preference. And so if you have a great meeting, but then you try to call somebody afterwards to follow up, you never hear back. Well, that means, a couple of things. One, they may just be super busy, or two, they may prefer to just do everything by email or vice versa. So try to ask that before the meeting ends. Second thing here is if you feel that you're meeting with the wrong contact, ask who else in the agency could you be put in contact with, and would they help facilitate that connection? So again, there's no wrong or bad meetings at a matchmaker. Try to leverage it and find out, how do I turn this around and meet with the right people afterwards? So after the meeting has ended, remember to follow up. Send an email with your capability statement, thanking them for their time to meet with you at the matchmaker. Again, if you were looking at a specific opportunity, mention that in email as well. But also track what opportunities the agency puts out after the matchmaker. Respond to those sources sought and request for information notices. And respond to requests for proposal or requests for quote as well, so that you are actively pursuing opportunities with the agency. And then attend other networking events. There's plenty of other events, throughout the country, whether it's an industry day or another matchmaker. So look for some of those opportunities. You may meet some of these same people again at those other events. And remember, you're dealing with humans. Again, we're all human. You may have a great meeting and you try to follow up and you hear nothing. That's going to happen, unfortunately. And a lot of times that's just because the buyers you met with are busy and they're pulled in a lot of different directions. So again, just be persistent. A lot of government contracting is being persistent. And then finally, don't forget to touch base with your local PTAC, which is now your local Apex Accelerator. Again, this is a recent change, so that's why I left the PTAC in there, as some of you may know us better by that name as we transition to the new one. But the point of this is not just to mention the name change. The point of it is to say your local Apex Accelerator counselor can help you leverage the success that you've had at the matchmaker. They can talk through a strategy of how to follow up and how to pursue some of these opportunities. And also, it's always just good to debrief with people. Talk through your experience with the matchmaker, and that counselor. They'll have a varied viewpoint. As Jim mentioned, we have a lot of experience within our network. If you add it up, it's probably over a couple hundred years of experience within the government marketplace on both sides. And so your local counselor, they'll be able to help you understand what went well, what went wrong, and how to leverage the matchmaker for future successes and opportunities as well. All right. And so finally, this just here is a roadmap of, again, how your Apex Accelerator can be, a guide in the government marketplace to you. And we're here throughout every step of the way. And so the matchmaker is just one part of that. We are here, as you're winning over and over and over again, or as you're starting out, and anywhere in between. And so that is it for my presentation. So I will pause now to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Joey. Lots of great information. We do have a question relating to capability statements. This is actually a great question. Donnell wants to know in regards to the past performance and the elevator pitch. How can they best present their commercial success if they have many customers that they service, like over 50, but nothing dedicated or contracted with any of them? And I don't know if you may have to clarify that a little, Janelle, because if they're customers, and Janelle, if they're customers, you said nothing dedicated or nothing contracted with any of them.
So while we wait for that clarification, because you're right, Shonda, I am a little confused on the last part. But what I will say is, as you have, commercial success, but you don't have government success, you want to leverage it and saying, we have worked with over 50 commercial firms here in, this type of product or this type of service, and we've, done it for X number of years, whatever that may be. Did they have a clarification to the nothing contracted part?
Okay, yes. Hang on, let's see. Scroll down. They are long-term customers, but we only run loads for them once per month or so. So I guess this is a trucking company.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I would say in that case, as you're developing your pitch and you're talking about that past performance, what I would recommend saying is something to the effect of, we have, 50X customers, we have long-term relationships with these customers, we engage them and provide, expert quality, trucking or whatever the service may be on a monthly basis. And we've been doing this for, X number of years, with all of them. I'd also encourage you to, meet with your local counselor as well to refine that a bit more in practice before the event. But in short, that's what I would recommend there. Because a lot of companies, you will have just commercial success. You don't necessarily, especially if you're newer to the government marketplace, you're not going to get a government contract right out of the gate. And so you want to leverage and show, A, that you know what you're doing and that you do it very well, but B, that you can perform on these other opportunities in a similar manner.
Great. All right, I don't see any other questions right now in the chat or in the Q&A session. So if anybody else has anything, you can go ahead and type it in now. I just went ahead and posted after hearing Joey's presentation and Jim's presentation, I'm sure many of you want to register today, especially because at that $95 early bird registration. So if you want to look in the chat, we did post the Ohio Business Matchmaker website. You can visit there today to sign up. Okay, I think another question has come through. Let me pull it up. Okay, as far as the recording, here I wanted to know, will they receive the recording for this presentation or where will it be posted?
Yes, so we will get the recording out on the Ohio Business Matchmaker website. We also will try to post it to our Apex Accelerator websites. But a lot of this depends on how quickly we process the recording. So do expect that not today, but within the next few days we will get those posted.
Yes. In addition to the recording, we'll also post the PDF of the slides as well. Are there any additional questions? I'd like to add so much great information that both Jim and Joey gave today. And for some of you, it could be, some of it maybe went over your head, you're not familiar. As Jim said, you're hearing terms, NAICS capability statement, and even though they gave a breakdown and an overview of what they are, you may not have that. And so if you do need assistance, again, as Joey said, the Apex Accelerator counselors are there to help you. So don't feel intimidated or don't feel that you can't participate in the event because you do not have a capability statement. You don't have NAICS codes. You don't know how to register for those. So the Apex Accelerators are there to assist you. You have plenty of time to definitely get those prepared before the event. So Yes, somebody's saying great information. So I would encourage you to reach out to your local Apex Accelerator counselor, or if you are looking to do business with the state agency, the Ohio Minority Business Assistance Centers, the MBACs, also are great resources to assist you with doing business with state agencies as well. So you can reach out to your local MBAC, your local Apex Accelerator. If you just need assistance with general business assistance, the SBDC, the Small Business Development Centers, great resources to help you. We do definitely want you to take advantage of all three of those before the Matchmaker event. Don't see anything else. And also, just to give another plug before we leave, today's webinar, we actually kicked off the series of webinars that we're going to be doing from now leading up into the Matchmaker in May. So our next webinar, we will have this afternoon at 1 p.m. Marketing to the federal government. So if you haven't signed up, you still have a chance to sign up. That starts at 1 o'clock. Then next Wednesday, March 29th, 10 a.m., marketing to the state, Ohio Department of Administrative Services at 10 a.m. And then at 1 o'clock, State of Ohio certifications and financial incentive programs. And so again, as Jim mentioned, for the next 5 weeks or so, we will have a webinar, with the exception of the first week of April. We'll have webinars, 2 webinars, every Wednesday, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. They will all be recorded. And as Joey said, the recordings, the links, and a copy of the slides will be posted on both the Ohio Business Matchmaker website and the Apex Accelerator. So definitely come back to visit these because they're filled with tons of great information. With that said, I don't think we see, I do see another question that came in the Q&A. Here is a question. How would you recommend a service-based business like wellness company to approach this event?
That is a very good question. And I will caution you, I'm going to tailor my answer a little more generally, because what I want to answer is, you may, whether it's wellness forum or other ones, you may get to the matchmaker and you may not have any perfect matches. You may be kind of a niche or some type of company that is not, what the buyers are looking for at that time. And that's absolutely all right. You still want to head into the matchmaker meeting. What I'd recommend with the mindset of, how do I develop some contacts here? And how do I kind of develop a relationship with some of these agencies? And there may be other opportunities at the matchmaker itself for you to develop some of those relationships. Jim, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would definitely think about where you would see yourself having a product in the government marketplace. So if you're running wellness programs, there are plenty of opportunities at colleges and state agencies. We've got wellness programs in our own agency. But if you're new or if it's something more narrowed or tailored, perhaps you're approaching a local government, and maybe that local government's got a community center that you could implement wellness programming. So really think about where your potential product could have a home. And again, part of that's your market research, and I would certainly recommend folks who are new or might have a very niche-like service or product to do their market research, but also leverage the Apex accelerators as they can help you with some of that brainstorming as you would prepare for this event.
Great answer. Yes, and she said thank you. Yes, that research is going to be definitely important. Always important of doing the research, and then also accessing the if you can look for the agencies, what they're anticipating on buying. So if you can access those as well.
Sean, I saw another question just come through. Gentleman's asking, does it make sense for a first-time attendee to go as an attendee or an exhibitor? That's really a you decision. What I can say, as an exhibitor, you're going to have a table. So if you have a product you want to showcase, or if part of your potential client is small business attendees, it's a great opportunity to market to the types of small businesses that will be in attendance at the event. But the majority of folks attending are going as underneath the supplier side. So they're registering as a small business. They're spending their time, sitting down at the buyers' tables with those pre-scheduled meetings, or meeting with buyers during those open sessions. You can still do that if you are an exhibitor. So an exhibitor is basically a small business plus you've got that space to showcase your product or service, and house your marketing materials. So it really just depends on who your target market is and what you want your experience to be. Additionally, as we mentioned before, the exhibitors get 2 tickets. So if you're going with someone, that adds to the cost equation for you. But really, I would think about, what do you want to take away from this event? And if you really want to get in front of as many buyers as possible, then I would probably not recommend being an exhibitor. You would probably want to spend your time, with those meetings. If you've got, you mentioned you've got a book, so an informational book. So again, if your potential customer would be folks attending, then you'd probably be more likely to want to have that exhibitor table for small businesses to stop by.
That was a great question. Are there any additional questions? Great questions today, especially if this is going to be your first time attending the event. Okay, we don't have any additional questions. Well, again, we definitely want to thank Jim for his time today, and Joey, and just giving a lot of just foundational information to help you navigate the event and to help you prepare. So Joey, if you want to put in the chat the website, if someone wanted to find out who their local Apex Accelerator counselor is, because they may be new to this and they may need some assistance with getting their NAICS code. They may need assistance with their capability statement or doing the research, as you said. So if you can type in there the information for the Apex Accelerator, where you can go and you can find a counselor, and it's based on where you live. So there's an Apex Accelerator that's close to you, regardless of where you are in the state. And with that said, we want to thank you for your time today. Again, there will be a training at 1 o'clock, and then we will have webinars every single week, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. But we are really excited that we are in Matchmaker season, and hopefully you can participate in, if not all the webinars, most of them. And we definitely do want to see you on May 3rd and 4th in Dayton at the Nutter Center at the actual Matchmaker event. It's always an exciting time. And as Jim said, you not only have an opportunity to connect with contractors, with buyers, but also you have an opportunity to connect with prime contractors and other small businesses, a great way to network. So, and then also the resource partners. We love interacting with you and helping to assist you at the actual event. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Thanks again so much, James and Joey, for kicking off the webinar. And we are excited about looking forward to the rest of these webinars and the actual event in May. So everyone have a wonderful day. If you're going to join us in the afternoon, we'll look forward to having you back. But have a great day, and we hope to see you on May 3rd and 4th at the Matchmaker. All right. Goodbye.